Planning Commission meeting for Monday, August 25th, 2025, 7 p.m. Joe, would you be call the roll, please?
Mr. Livingston?
Here.
Commissioner Leon?
Here?
Mr. Fulmer?
Here.
Mrs. Bellinger is absent. Ms. Cimaroli?
Here.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Public comment. Visitors, please state your name and address.
Pasquale Blasio, 447 Washington Avenue, Bridgeville. I am happy to see the North End traffic engineering on the agenda and look forward to lending my support in whatever manner I can. And I thank you all very much for your service.
Thank you, Pat. Okay. Adoption of minutes from the July 28th, 2025 meeting. Everybody's had at least a chance to look at it, look at the minutes. Does anybody have any comments, corrections, rude remarks? Okay, I would certainly take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
To adopt. Okay, Mike, you have a second?
Second.
Melissa seconds. Any further discussion?
Well, I do have a question about this. I did see that letter posted on Facebook about somebody talking about dark sky
Yes.
requirements.
Mhm.
And that letter is going to council?
Yes.
Okay. Is that anything we can discuss here, or, I mean, did you talk to the solicitor?
I did.
Okay.
And his comment was that he believes that the glare restrictions that are already within this,
Mhm.
the criteria
Right.
section, kind of meets the requirements of dark sky. But he does, is dark sky more of a brand, or is it something where you just don't have glare leaving your property? He says if it's more on the glare, we have those performance measures in place.
Well, it's sort of a more holistic, hate to say
Approach.
it, approach.
to-
Where, in fact, I just saw an article 2 weeks ago talking about the city of Pittsburgh hired a dark skies consultant. And what Pittsburgh did is they're putting timers on their streetlights so that they can dim at certain times, right? And also, I mean, it is the glare, it is the downlighting, all right? It's the shutting off of potential lights that don't need to be on 24/7.
Colors.
It's
Correct, you're right.
There's a site called Dark Sky International, I think it's .org, and like they have the criteria that would meet like a dark sky.
Yeah, it's mostly about shining light down, so it's not, so you're able to see.
Sure, but the performance standards would dictate that, but it doesn't get into detail of like a dark sky culture. Like, we're not gonna be able to regulate.
No. I mean, dark sky, in order to, so here, it's like Glacier National Park is a dark sky international site. They've been approved and so
Yeah,
forth.
I get
I don't
it.
want to go anywhere like that. I just want to
Yeah,
make
that's
sure that the light, the security light in Northwest parking lot doesn't shine into my bedroom, a mile away. So,
Yeah, and there's performance standards in
Okay.
place.
right.
Pat, if you don't mind, quickly, very. Dark sky is, as Justine was saying, it's not just a set of regulations, it's an idea for the community itself. A big piece of it is the municipal government, is us, okay? One of the big disappointments was to Bert Cherry's attempt to try and get the street lighting in the town to be of a different color.
The soft white.
And unfortunately, your predecessor was unable to make that happen. But that's the concept of dark skies. It's not simply what you can do to regulate the private.
It's changing the bulb. It's changing the bulbs.
It's changing the bulbs. It's turning them down at a certain time.
Focus.
It's a much broader focus, and I, for one, would encourage the planning commission to to take a look at dark skies.
Focus on minimizing light pollution through the principles of useful, targeted, low-level, controlled, and warm-colored lighting.
Anyway,
The warm
so-
color lighting is what Bert's talking
Is
about.
what Bert's talking about. And
Some of them are orange, we used to have orange street lights.
No.
It was ugly.
Joe, no, not the orange, no. There is this is a big issue because, and you need to do a little bit of research on it, and you probably aren't gonna be able to do anything now quickly because they're all LED lights, they're gonna last a long time.
right,
Okay?
right.
But if you set it up, then as they're getting changed, you might be able to improve the whole feel of the town. There are these harsh lights that we have now. There's another color level that is much more conducive to human beings. I encourage you to research it.
Okay, just so,
It's just
Yeah.
something we need
I get
to
it.
look at.
I don't know much about
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna do anything, not gonna be able to do anything with the downtown district zoning thing now.
Right,
regarding this,
right.
But it's something
Well, I
that
think
to
it-
consider for going down the road.
I think at some point that I think it needs to be seriously investigated so that in 10 years, we're not still bright white and, still have all this light pollution, so. it's-
Yeah, I don't know, like, I know much about it.
Yeah.
I just know that when, hey, the question was raised, I passed it on.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, it's just.
Yeah. But
glare.
anyway, I'm
Yeah.
glad to see
Yeah.
somebody,
I think we're starting down that road.
Mhm.
I think we're-
gradually, yeah, we're taking baby steps, so that's good.
So, but that letter will be presented
Good.
at the public hearing, I did receive it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
It was more than just a Facebook post, like, he did submit a letter and I did.
Good.
Okay.
So like our job on that is done, it's now at the next
Right.
step, and that's why you don't have to come back. is because
Okay.
a couple has done for me.
Okay, so I've got a motion, do you have any more comments?
No.
Eric?
Mm.
Okay, we got a motion and second to adopt the minutes from the July 28th meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. New business, 2026 borough budget. North End traffic engineering request is one of the things. Are there other things that we're thinking about within the next year that would require funding? I don't know if we, looking through some of the projects we get going. I don't know if we wanna think about any of this.
I mean, when it comes to funding, it would basically, anything that would require shovels in the ground, we wouldn't be asking for funding for that. But stuff like looking for studies and stuff that we want to look into, that's what we'd be looking for funding.
And we submitted that request, and it was included in last month's council packet. I just got started on next year's budget. I don't know how much is there, but the budget request for traffic engineering is a considerable request out of the planning commission.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And if that did get approved, that's quite the project to begin with.
Correct, and then I had some good news, is I reached out to Collier Township to
Okay.
say, hey, we're trying to advance this project, this is a multi-municipal effort. Our planning commission is making a request to Borough Council, asking for $15,000 to do the necessary traffic engineering to get this plan to where it needs to be to start asking for funding assistance. Are you able to go to your board of commissioners, this is talking to their manager, and ask for a similar match, to match our 15? So we have 30,000, which is a lot of money, knowing that the roundabout study was 18,000. So $30,000 traffic engineering is a big figure. All I can say is no. He came back and says, I fully support that, I'll present it to the board of commissioners at their meeting tonight. But he seemed optimistic that they'll play ball and match our 15 as well, so we have a $30,000 process. Not to jump down to one seat, but it kind of dovetails that.
You get it out of the way, Joe.
No, we don't know yet. But if you remember, where this whole discussion to get to a budget request was the plan review letter we got back from PennDOT. It basically outlined the need for additional traffic engineering, and I shared that with Collier, so it's been the same time. see on the agenda is that when I talked to the SPC back in late spring, early summer, Rich Fitzgerald personally said that we need to reach out to Allegheny County and Penta. So I did what he said, and I got a response back from Allegheny County probably about a week and a half ago. That's included in your packet, saying, hey, we support this. If it comes in front of us for the tip, we got your back. We'll support something. That's our achievement for the month on this project. So that's a big thing. So I sent a follow-up packet out just this week, today actually, to Rich Fitzgerald, asking him to do the same thing that PennDOT did. I said, PennDOT did a very complex, free plan review, and that plan review letter will basically dictate the RFP that we put together for a scope of work for the traffic engineering we're trying to get money for. So I said, can you, and with your staff, do the same exact thing that PennDOT did? Shoot this thing apart. Tell us what needs flushed out at the SPC level, because they see things a little different than the traffic engineers at PennDOT. So when we get that back from him, we'll have both plan review letters that we can work with our neighbor at Calder to put together a very good and direct scope of work that we know that both funding agencies, PennDOT and SPC, are going to look for the details. So I feel like we're not just asking silly questions, we're doing our homework, and this is working out well where our neighbor is supporting us. Your budget letter was perfect because I shared it with him saying, hey, look, I have this black and white, they're asking for 15, can you match it? And I got an email today saying, yeah, I can do that, and I'll confirm it with my board tonight, so that's a win. With Rich Fitzgerald, you can't get any bigger than that, saying, do these two things, we did it, so we're following this direction. Now we're going back to him, and I want his advice through his staff that we can then get back hopefully within a month, 2 months, that over the winter we can put together a really thorough scope of work and get RFPs out so that next spring the two towns can retain a traffic engineering firm like we did for the roundabout. Then that study, we go to PennDOT, and then PennDOT can present our grant request to the SPC if they see fit. That's where I'd like to see this go, and I feel like we're in that direction now. So it was a very productive couple of weeks on this project.
Good. Thank you, Joe.
That's awesome. Yes, it was good. It was good.
That's great.
It was good.
Okay. So,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
We had talked about trying to do, look at one Street lot per year. So do we want to look at those? Look at the ideas we have?
Yes, I think that would be good because how we budget for that at the borough level was that we had funding in place this year to match the downtown zoning grant. So that was a general fund budget request. So ideally, I'm hoping that same number that's in there for this year for that project, I can just keep in the budget for next year to do the traffic engineering. So that's why it's really, I'm not reinventing the wheel. The money was already in there. It's provided the stars all align, it can continue. The Baldwin Street, we have several line items that we identify for parks, and we paid for the Baldwin Street. We treat it like parks, and it was just paid for other park budgets. So we have a line for capital projects and parks, and that's what we paid for this project.
okay.
So if there's another one, just by all means, let's start planning what it would be. And we've done 2 already out of that same funding source. What would make this any different?
Okay.
But you're definitely on point.
Would it be different if so we had talked about putting a parking lot in front of Pittsburgh Pottery, like that area? Would that be different then if we were looking at a project like that?
I would say so, because that don't match the comp plan. The comp plan for that lot was that really unique.
Well, I think when she said parking lot, I think she
So I'm sorry,
misspoke,
yes,
because
paved lot.
it would be a public,
General purpose,
public square area that if you wanted to, you had the pavers on there so that people could utilize it for a farmer's market or an arts fair or whatever. But at the same time, it would be, because like Upper St. Clair uses those little black plastic squares that they put grass in the center of them so people can drive on and off.
Permeable parking.
Yeah,
Permeable parking, that, and, you know, and maybe a gazebo or something like that, I think that's what.
The budget dumps, if we keep doing what we're doing, it doesn't work out. You're gonna have to make a separate request.
Yeah,
okay.
That's big.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for
So if you want big, we're gonna have to
Okay,
get a plan
Alright.
together and then see what we can do.
okay,
But I'm so early in, I don't even know where it is.
right,
And we
right.
haven't had a tax increase in 8 years, so we've been very fortunate that we can trim the fat. There's only so much fat we can trim. So if it's a small thing, we can make it happen. Big thing, it's gonna be, we got your.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's not on
if it was another, another item that was budgetary about the same size as the pollinator garden, I mean, that's
Yeah.
something we could
Well, I
probably
think
work
we have our
with.
list, we just have to refresh, I mean, I have
Yeah.
to refresh my memory.
Same.
Because I think all of those that were on the list were just thought about whether or not, if it got flooded, how those lots would be affected.
Mhm.
You know, and if we have to move
Yeah.
something, you know, then we have to move something or
Yeah.
other stuff.
I mean,
And
like-
something, we went big, like that's something that we can do a nice grant project.
Right,
for.
right. I mean, you know, I will talk to, I think I told you before about the owner from Pittsburgh Pottery saying that the Christmas market in Pittsburgh is not gonna happen this year.
Marcus Square one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcus
Oh,
Square is all
they're
for
rebuilding it.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, maybe what we can do is a Christmas market here. So I'm gonna reach out to him, because it's never too early to start planning something like that. He said he knows the artists
Mhm.
that he could invite. So, you know, just so you know, I'll reach out to him again and see what's going on. I don't think any way, shape, or form they're gonna be ready to move into there. But I haven't
What's
done.
that?
Pittsburgh Potter is not ready to move into the Italian club. So,
I mean, it has to be hard, I mean, they're still running their business, they do
Right.
classes constantly, and they have to get space or anything.
Right.
He hasn't submitted plans yet.
yeah,
Yeah, we're not there.
yeah. But we could still have a Christmas market.
My neighbors will be real happy if it's there.
Okay, anything else? Anything else regarding budget issues?
No. Any word from the feds about the flood mitigation?
Nothing since the last council meeting yet. We know that the brick funding, building zone infrastructure communities is gone.
Yeah.
Our hope is the earmark being approved
Okay.
that would replace it dollar for dollar.
Okay.
And then if not, it's just a matter of finding smaller grants, because grants at $5 million don't come every day, but the smaller ones, million under, they're out there. And just a matter of applying for smaller grants to whittle away at individual phases of the phase one. We submitted a grant the past month to replace the culverts for, so coupled with the other two, that could line up to be funded, but I'm hopeful that Fetterman can pull this off.
Yeah.
With an earmark. Because that earmark got support on both sides of the aisle, which is rather unique.
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Joe?
No.
Okay, moving on, old business. Comprehensive plan project implementation updates. A, downtown zoning district, public hearing is scheduled for Monday, September 8th at 6:30 PM. Have we had a lot of comments back?
No, I sent a letter to every property owner that was identified to be rezoned from mixed use to
Mhm.
downtown. I maybe had about half dozen people call asking for questions. They were all very good questions. There was only one letter that was received from a citizen that lived outside of the downtown district with a recommendation on dark sky lighting. And that could be presented to council at the hearing. It's ran in the newspaper, and my goal is later this week to post about 15 public notices, on telephone poles in the district, so that by virtue of everyone getting an individual letter, the web postings around town, the newspaper, we did our due diligence in making sure everyone was notified.
I mean, I'd be more happy than, more than happy to walk, do whatever.
Yeah, everyone got letters, so
Yeah.
I mailed them out to
Yeah.
everyone. So,
Moving on. McLaughlin Run Meadow, McLaughlin Run Park Meadow dedication will be held Thursday, September 18th at 5:30 p.m. And I saw a bunch of notices and emails on that.
yeah, so we're hoping for just a short little ceremony with all the people that made the project happen. I know the Rotary, the Lions, DCNR, and we extended it to Planning Commission and Council, because it's kind of the whole picture. This was a unique project, where it's kind of simple, just a meadow, but I don't know if everyone caught it, and I was methodical when I did it, that the sign down there, I made sure that it's identified as this was a community planning effort, and I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
unique. So the sign even says that this was a community planning project, so hey, it's the community's project, and it's what made it special.
Yeah, good job. And, all the partners need to be thanked. It's working with Rotary and the Lions, it was a
neat.
huge thing. The fourth bench, we got delivered this morning, so, that gets installed sometime in the next, for winter.
Yeah, but it's nice.
North End Washington Avenue, Allegheny County DPW support received, which has SPC significance. There's a letter in the packet from Stephen Shanley from Allegheny County, providing support for the improvement along the Washington Avenue between Bridgeville and Collier. So that's nice. It's nice to have that support.
I think at this stage of the game is just getting people aware of the project and the need, like we all know about it. I don't, outside of our little circle, how much do they? So, we're doing the right thing, getting awareness out there. We're knocking on the right doors. We have the state senator, state representative, already supporting it, so we met with them at the bottleneck. So it's now getting a plan that, like, get the roundabout, that gets us to the next level that we can ask for grants.
Active transportation implementation updates. Chartier Street pedestrian access to the park. Discuss PennDOT's proposal for a new sidewalk on the south side of Chartier Street that would cross Bank Street and travel to the new entrance of Chartier's Park. In our packet was the proposed sidewalk to PennDOT. So they're opposed to a crosswalk at Winston.
Yes, I was ecstatic when I got this. This was a big win, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the history. So, we know the active transportation plan advanced, completing the missing links of the sidewalk on the south side of Chartier Street. And it went to council, almost 2 years now, and council signed an agreement to move forward with that and pledge the match to make that happen. It's just been delayed because of design for the landslide work. But the sidewalk is under contract, we know what's gonna cost. So when that was all being discussed, it was the discussion here was, hey, that sidewalk essentially is to get people to Chartier Park. We should have a crossing to the park from the new sidewalk. So we went to them, and essentially it was with the mid-block crossing so close to the curve at 35 miles per hour, it was too dangerous. So one concept was a request was made to PennDOT by the Borough Council to lower the speed limit to 25. They came back and said, no, it doesn't meet the requirements. So Mr. Coleman was at a planning commission meeting, said that, hey, I think a So that's when I went back to PennDOT at your request, with the, I call it the coal mine. And, they took a long time to study, and I included the email chain here. And you can see that they actually did the engineering that would have been necessary to see if it's feasible or not. They came back and said that it would require right-of-way to be taken from the park, which is never close to the road, but it doesn't meet ADA compliance. But under this project, there's a degree of ADA compliance that would need to be met, and there would be a significant cost to the borough. So rather than just them coming back to us with a third no, they thought outside the box and said, I know it isn't as ideal as inconvenience the first crossing, but hey, we have the right of way to put a sidewalk on the opposite side of Chartier Street, starting at Bank Street, and run that sidewalk to the park, so that you, a pedestrian, would cross at Bank Street and have a safe, accessible route, essentially to the park, and it would be a sidewalk from there to the park. So then I went back to them and said, okay, that sounds nice, but that's a lot of sidewalk, what's that gonna cost? And then you see here, it won't cost the borough anything, you know, the cost of the borough would be future maintenance. And it's like, okay, we would have that with anything. So I would present it to you guys tonight for your feedback. I honestly felt that it was a win, but I don't know, yeah.
Okay, I got a couple issues, especially with this diagram. I'm looking at this first diagram. Where they put the crosswalk crossing Bank. Yeah. Where they put the crosswalk crossing Bank Street, crossing Chartiers.
Yeah, I don't know why it's down so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, people coming from, what is that,
Yeah, you're right.
coming, turning onto Chartier Street, isn't gonna see a pedestrian. I mean, that's just an accident waiting
It's
to happen.
already a terrible intersection.
Yeah,
It
well,
doesn't line
I'm
up
getting,
with the ADA ramp side. Because there's currently an ADA ramp crossing right at the corner, so I don't know if that was just hypothetical.
okay, but I mean, that's a horrible intersection to begin with. And so now we're introducing, we've had a number of accidents, a number of near misses. Traffic is heavy there certain times of the day. And now we're gonna try and introduce pedestrians into this?
Well, we already have pedestrians there now. You have a crossing across Bank Street at that intersection. They put brand new ADA sidewalk ramps in there just this summer.
Could they be thinking that potentially what's gonna happen with this intersection?
I don't believe so, because
Well, that's the case.
the right hand don't talk to left hand.
Okay.
Well, and nothing's gonna happen
They'll
with that
change it.
roundabout for another 3 or 4 years.
When they redo the roundabout, they'll just redo the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But that's not the question I have.
Go for it.
So, just like, so if you're going to Dairy Lane, right now, just bear with me for a second. You're coming down a railroad. There's a crosswalk. You go up around the corner, past Dairy, or past the beer warehouse, and there's a crosswalk there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you cross there, and then you walk to the Dairy Lane. Nobody uses that, because you just basically, you want to cross right to the Dairy Lane. Now, we put a crosswalk there, but I'm going back years, because the natural way people walk, they want to cross right there. Anybody that's going to come up from Bank Street, they're not going to walk all the way down up Bank Street and get to Chartiers, and then come back around. They're going to come up, cut down Winfield, or come up, what's the one in the middle? Winfield, and it goes from Winfield to
Lafayette.
Lafayette, thank you, Pat.
Oh, you mean my street?
Yeah, whatever street you're on.
Whatever street you live
Yeah.
See, they're gonna come up there, they're gonna come there, then they're gonna go and cut across the road.
Yeah.
They're not gonna use,
So they're gonna go all the way up and around to come
yeah,
back.
unless, the people live up on Pennsylvania and stuff, they'll come that way. They might use that crosswalk, but everybody else that lives on this side of Bridgeville, they're gonna come and they're just gonna make their way
I
through.
mean, you're still gonna drive.
And then, well, people that are
be kids.
This isn't a lot of people driving though.
This,
This is a lot of people walking.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but I mean, people who would be hoping to be able to walk from this neighborhood
right.
are just gonna drive, because if they have to go all the way up
Oh,
there,
yeah.
come all the way back down.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, the driveway into the park, is it still gonna be designed kind of the same, like it's just a road?
No, yeah, just a road, but I put what's proposed in your package is the dark.
Yeah.
So it's just being relocated
Yeah.
out more.
And you
I
will
mean,
be
you're
able to
still playing
make,
chicken once you get to the park
Yeah.
entrance,
Right.
basically, with the cars.
I just, I just think it's from the neighborhoods, Winfield and, you know, down towards Mike's house. I mean, anybody that's gonna come up there is gonna try and, you know, cross
Yeah.
cross Chartiers.
Yeah.
Well, when we did the comp plan when we were at the fire department, like, we had people asking for access to Chartiers Park from farther down Chartiers.
Mhm.
You know, like being able to get in near, right, like
Right.
somehow build an
Down by the
entrance.
library, actually.
Yeah, so, like, if people are thinking they're coming from the other side of Washington Avenue and they wanna walk to Chartiers but be able to access it, this doesn't, like, this really helps a very small portion of the neighborhood,
The
from
park's
a
over a hill.
walkability perspective.
yeah,
The park's over a cliff.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not like,
Oh, yeah, I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, we have to find a different
Yeah.
solution. I don't know what the solution is, but I
Right.
just know if we put a walkway there, nobody's gonna use it.
you know, what's funny is like,
Well,
They-
people from Upper
those-
St. Clair probably use it.
Yeah.
They go down to the park and
Yeah,
walk.
that's true.
it's not even about that, at least there when you cross, you got somewhere to go to, you'll be off the road.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
and if this isn't gonna cost us anything,
No.
I'd put this there, put it there. I mean, it doesn't gonna cost anything, add it, you know, because it's better than nothing. At least there is an option if somebody's coming, they look, I wanna get down there, but, and they'll do it. And then people who are able-bodied and can play chicken, I'm like, I'll just cross, like I always do. But, and also, it kind of covers your, you know, hey, we have a legal crossing there. That is not, you know, it is a legal crossing. We know it's not ideal, but that's the only solution we have.
That's what I was, yeah, you knew it.
Yeah.
And like, I remember Pat saying, oh, build a river walk all the way up, it sounds nice, but there's only so much money here. Yeah.
That is the if we could figure out a reasonable way of doing it, I'll tell you who needs to look at it, is Mr. Coleman. If anybody could, maybe he could come up with a way of doing it, because if he could do that, it brings something that Mike, that you've tried to put in for a long time. If you're able to connect through that park, Upper St. Clair, all the way over to South Fayette, you can connect the trails. And when you're doing that, you can connect to downtown Bridgeville and the library. All of that is possible at grade, at pedestrian grade, next to those railroad tracks. Think about it, we're thinking at the street level. Think
Yeah.
at the railroad
right,
track
right,
level.
right.
Okay, think about walking next to the railroad tracks, not in the railroad right away,
Right.
but in our own,
Right.
the library, and back there.
Yeah.
Now you can walk from the Historical Society to the library to the park. And when you get to the park, you can go right and head to South Fayette and possibly to the trail up there, or left to Top Golf or whatever. And to the left, you end up towards Upper St. Clair, Winfield Pines, and then up to the rec center. If we can do something lower at the railroad tracks, at that grade, okay, it would all fit pedestrian-wise. And then you turn around and you tell PennDOT, we don't want you to invite pedestrians anywhere on Chartier Street. We tell pedestrians cars get into the park from Chartier Street. The people that are walking, they don't have to walk all the way up the hill. to then walk all the way down the driveway into the park. Because they're already walking from the bottom. They're already at grade at the railroad.
Yeah, but is there enough?
Like, that sounds good philosophically, but real life is that PennDOT's only gonna do this when they do this project. If we don't do this now, we're just gonna do nothing.
Oh, no, I'm saying with this project, Joe, I'm not trying to say.
They're not gonna do down there, I asked that, that's how it started the whole project. And this how, the whole Chartier Street crosswalk, or sidewalk, started with a request from the planning commission 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When they did the PennDOT Connects process, when they do their design of the project, our request to them was, hey, as part of this project, can you do the river trail? That's how this whole started,
Right.
with river trail. And then they came back saying, I'm sorry, that's outside of PennDOT right away, we can't do that down there, but we understand and support the concept and the need. We see the missing gaps on the street, we can advance a project to do the gaps. So to ask PennDOT to do the river trail, it's a no, 'cause we already know it's no, that's how they did the sidewalk.
So they said, no, we won't do the river trail because it's not within our right of way. Okay, understood. How far away from their right of way is it, and how can we put the river trail into their right of way so that they can do it? I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Because
I
when
like your
looked
thinking,
at-
Pat.
When I looked at it, and I'm no engineer, and look, this is just pie in the sky ideas, okay? But when I looked at it, I said, the river trail has got to go right where they're putting the cribbing to put the new, what is essentially the road. So it's gotta be close to their right of way. Again, I don't know. But we need our own engineers, and Joe, this is another one where I'd be happy to try and help. And Mike, I think, look, we are so, if an engineer tells me no, fine. If an engineer tells you no, Mike, you're gonna listen, right? You're an engineer.
No, I'm not.
Well, physicist,
He
but
plays one on TV though.
you've got more of a knowledge of it than I do.
One of, at the Route 50 meeting, corridor meeting, that I joined Joe Reducci with, in May, end of May, I think, or June. It was pretty interesting, because up for discussion was whether or not Collier, I think it was, could develop someplace, a river walk, or a Chartiers Creek walk, right? And that they were actually looking for a place to also do the mitigation for the coal mines that are leaching out this sulfur or whatever it is. And so they actually went to a couple of different lots that could potentially house something that big. Didn't realize how much property they actually needed. But one of the things that they had talked about in Scott was, or Collier, I forget which one, was, can we do something to put a walkway or a walk along Chartiers Creek? And I said, listen, Bridgeville's been talking about this for years now. I said, so all I can say is if it was up to me, we'd join with you to see whether or not there's something that we could do. So, I mean, at least they know it's down the road.
We did look into this.
I know
When
we
we
did.
heard, what was the folks that did the active transportation plan, we asked them to look into that.
Right.
And remember, his plan showed it, saying that it wasn't feasible, and he shows it coming up through the neighborhood and following the road. And then it connects to the library and then over the.
Oh,
Maple
you're,
Lake
no,
Bridge.
I'm
But
talking,
we did have engineers look at this.
but I'm talking further past that. I'm talking about something that we could develop along Chartiers Creek so that you have access into further down the creek.
We're fortunate on Chartiers Creek from the bridge up because it's outside of the flood control limits.
Okay.
So the flood control limits end essentially here. We're not gonna get approval to do that down that way.
Oh, okay.
Unless you're up on top.
Okay, all right. So
And then
the-
if you're up on top, you're gonna be people's yards.
Okay, all right. So when we talked about like in Newberry,
That-
going across that railroad track and all that other stuff, is that?
It's outside of the flood control
Okay,
project,
all right.
so it's a lot easier,
Okay.
but if you're gonna do like a river walk to Scott,
Yeah,
The Army Corps is not gonna approve it.
Okay.
Because they're not even approving a canoe launch in Carnegie using an existing ramp and making them go through a bunch of hurdles. So
Okay.
I don't want to get you excited.
Yeah.
It's just not too late. But you're
Yeah.
outside of the flood control limit.
Yes. Whatever happened, do we know whatever happened to that piece of property that was next to?
I knew it was for sale, but I never heard it was sold.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So, the sidewalk to Chartiers Park entrance is a good thing. And
I just know what you want to do with it.
Well, if you're gonna,
I think if there's somebody else gonna pay for it, then all we gotta do is pay for maintenance, let's do it.
you know, I agree. I mean,
I agree.
I agree.
I mean, it doesn't mean we can't pursue other things, but it makes, if they're gonna put that in when they're doing the road, it doesn't hurt to have a sidewalk over there on that side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It would be nice to have the option one.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that they came back with an alternative and just didn't say no, because they're good at just saying no.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And not telling you why, they just say no.
Okay, let me ask a question. Because PennDOT is doing this, does that mean that option 2, crossing at Winfield is out of the question, or a crossing further down is out of the question?
So here's right from his letter. PennDOT's Pedestrian and Safety Committee reviewed the options McCormick Taylor, that's the design firm, put together to cross pedestrians at Winfield Street, and utilizes steps and stairs to descend the hill and connect to the Chartiers Park driveway. The committee stated that any pedestrian accommodations would need to be ADA compliant. This is particularly important since the project is utilizing federal funding. So there's your hook.
Yep.
A pedestrian access that is ADA compliant would have a significant construction cost and be difficult to construct and would result in additional right-of-way impacts to the park. And then you go, as an alternative, PennDOT proposes the option shown in light blue on the attached. This option proposes a sidewalk on the south side of Chartier Street from Chartiers Park to Bank Street intersection. Pedestrians traveling east up the hill from Route 50 and wanting to access the park would need to proceed to the new crosswalk, which Mike says no one will use because you're right. And you utilize the sidewalk shown in the light blue area back to the park. This is where I thought it was a win, because the entire length of the light blue is roughly 450 feet, so the entire route would be 900 feet, 450 go, 450 down. So the capital outlay of that amount of land and to construct 450 feet of sidewalk, and then they come back, and I can say confirm, you would confirm the borough's costs, and then they kick it around, and then they come back and say, we will not ask for a contribution from the borough, although there will need to be a standard maintenance agreement, as there would be for any sidewalk. There would need to be constructed, there would need to be a contribution for the staircase option, but the district is not in favor of that option. So if they're already telling you, we don't favor it, you're gonna have to pay for it,
Yeah.
why beat ourselves up? I get it, I'd like the option 1 too, but it's not our game.
Okay. Well, let's take the win and,
But if you come back, like, your comment on that crosswalk location being silly, I think that's definitely a good point. I don't think anyone caught, that we should go back and say, hey, our planning commission reviewed this. Although we really liked option A, we thank you for option B, but what can you do to improve that pedestrian crossing, moving closer to the intersection?
because I mean, that's, intersection is bad enough as is.
Now, we need to go back to them to say, yes, we want to do this, or no, we want to do this. And that's not up for this group, that would be up for Borough Council, because they're requiring the obligation for that. So if the planning commission makes a recommendation, it'd be nice to do that by motion, and I can send a letter to them, and then at our next meeting, we can see if they want to buy it or not.
Okay.
Is that something you want to do? But if, like, I don't want you to think I'm just throwing this at you, but
No, I
there's
mean-
really not much more to talk about.
Right,
Yeah.
right, we've kicked this around as as much as we can, and, you know, we've asked a lot of good questions and get feedback from PennDOT. Go ahead.
I do have one off-the-wall question. So this green sidewalk that we have on the other side from Winfield up to Bank, this is going to be built?
It currently exists to the bend. It does not
Okay.
exist from the bend to Bank Street.
Okay,
And then as you go down, it exists to pretty much close to
Like Elm.
like Elm, and it
Yeah.
disappears.
There's
So
nothing
like-
from Elm to Chestnut.
Correct, and that's what they're gonna
so
put in.
just throwing it against the wall, what would happen if instead of taking, well, I guess that would have to be a major realignment, if they took and built the sidewalk on the opposite side, instead of taking all that property on Chartiers, you know, from like Chartiers up,
In the green,
correct?
they already have that right of way in that area, I'm pretty sure.
So like on
If they don't, it may
Orchard,
be like, Orchard's different, but Orchard or not, the sidewalk already is there.
okay,
They're trying to improve,
How much they take, like down by Orchard?
I know like Beach's house was like a foot.
For taking
Oh,
a foot of
okay.
BJ's, foot of property?
I'm shooting from my hip. I remember like 3 years
I'm
ago,
just
seeing a
asking
plan.
for a friend.
They put in our law, but everyone had access to that plan, and it showed a little red line. And
Right.
it-
It's hard to see
It
exactly.
was like a foot.
It's like a foot,
It was nothing more than a foot.
okay. Cause I like telling her, oh, I think you're making like 6, 7 feet long.
Yeah, but people are-
Just drive her up a wall.
Yeah, but people, that
What's that?
travels faster than the.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we don't need to be throwing gas on the fire, thank you very much.
But they haven't finalized the design.
oh
So
geez, still,
they haven't got to the stage where they require right of ways.
Yeah.
So what we saw 2-3 years ago is probably old news by now.
Yeah.
So, some of that could change.
Yeah, 'cause we don't know where it is. It's been
We should
years.
give another public call.
all right, well then, I'm definitely for doing this now, just in case
Yeah.
somebody come along and say, hey,
They might change it
Oh, yeah.
later on too.
Yeah.
right, and
But yeah,
we'll
good
build
find.
the sidewalk on the opposite side, who knows?
And you know, you're right on point, because we know when Trans Associates did the design for the proposed roundabout, PennDOT's requiring to have sidewalks all the way around there. Well, we have sidewalks, our neighbors don't have sidewalks, so they're gonna have a sidewalk to nowhere.
Right.
So at least here, all the Bridgeville connections will be fully sidewalked, so if the roundabout ever does come to reality, you're gonna have a sidewalk that will connect to it, and will at least complete most of the circle.
Yeah.
So you think along big picture,
Yeah.
it's the right thing to do, big picture, no one else around. It would be heaven to have a lower speed limit and cross,
Yeah,
but they wouldn't support that.
gotcha.
We tried, it was very logical.
Okay. So, you made a motion, Mike?
I do not, but I will be more than happy to.
I make a motion that we, make a recommendation to the council to accept PennDOT's proposal for the new sidewalk on the south side of Chartier Street, that would cross Bank Street, travel to the new entrance of Chartiers Park.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
No?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You know, this was a neat, one of those things that you could like chalk it up to thankless jobs of the planning commission, where a concept came out of the planning commission, public, citizen came up in public participation, went above and beyond with the concept. You guys pitched the idea and something stuck. If we didn't talk about it or even come up with and strategize, we'd be stuck with nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We'd be sitting on our
I
hands.
mean, what I think is amazing is having been, this is my 5th year, 6th year, whatever, having seen the progression from from active transportation plan to this.
Oh, yeah.
And every month or every quarter, moving
And it's kind of like
projects.
the active transportation plan was almost like a, you think back to that, that was like a big deal. And
I
it
know.
was, and it was a big deal, but it just kind of got us primed and ready to go for the comprehensive plan.
Right.
It was a bigger deal. And now, and it's, now we have a playbook. We have this playbook every month that we sit there and we just cherry pick.
The other day, I was out walking the dog, and there were two bikers going up Bank Street. And I'm like, oh, we forgot all about that bike lane.
Ours is adjusting.
They didn't seem to be bothered. They had blinking lights and vests on, so.
Okay, moving on here. Active transportation plan implementation updates. Gregg Avenue Stairs project have been completed.
So we just got a couple punch list items to finish before they close on the project.
Okay.
Just happy to be, on the sidelines, small part of that project.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a good one. I mean, you know, how many years have we been kicking around complaining about them steps, and now, you know, we've got them.
They're not nice.
Yeah. So, connect one side of the community with another. Okay, 3, Environmental Advisory Committee. Oh, I know. There was one other thing before I get to that. We had a discussion about Garden Club, and some people were gonna do some investigation about, what Millvale was doing.
I haven't talked to my wife about it. She is the person who's in charge of Louisville. I'll put that on the list.
I tried to look at their stuff, but I feel like they just have a Facebook page, and I couldn't figure out how to contact anybody.
Okay.
But Nature Conservancy hasn't gone back to me yet.
Okay.
I'll follow up with them.
So if we can put that on the agenda for next month.
And we did get a copy of the expenses for the pollinator garden, correct?
Yeah, we discussed it when you were away.
Yeah,
Yes,
you were,
but I have not seen.
No, you passed it out.
Yeah.
It didn't make the package, because you emailed it to me that day and I passed it out to you.
But you should be on the email.
Okay.
I can find the email for it.
Okay. Oh, and then we're gonna do a thank you letter to everybody that's got involved with the donations and, public works, and wrap it up for the winter. We have a couple of things to do. We went down Sunday and looked at, we had a couple of things to do.
Does water get turned off in winter, I assume?
We'll winterize it. We don't turn off until we come to meetings.
okay, anything else?
Budget for, bump outs, flowers for bump outs next year. Does that come to you now, or?
Please. I thought what we discussed was in the fall, a bunch of folks were gonna harvest or perennials on yards. You still doing that?
Well, I think we're gonna have to be careful. If we do just like normal stuff, then they're gonna be watered. Then we have to figure that out.
It won't work.
We find some like drought resistant stuff to put in there.
Like daisies and stuff. I have any issues with that.
I mean, they're gonna be watered like all summer next year. Put 'em in.
My daisies
You know,
are
I mean,
untouched.
pasta.
They look nice.
They'll just grow.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, then we'll have like deer munching in the intersections. That'll be great.
Yeah,
But
they're-
the daisies didn't even come out.
All right, now we're into
They did not,
gardening,
yeah.
so
They did.
I had to leave it open.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They have enough,
All
Okay.
right, moving on here. Environmental Advisory Committee, do we have any?
No, I just left it on there because we discussed having it as a standing agenda.
That's fine. Just making sure. Okay, public comment? Bruce?
Nice job, guys.
Okay,
That's Bruce.
okay. Anybody else? Okay,